Hi there, it's July 13th, 2009, and I thought I'd give a quick tour around the family gardens here. It's a 40 by 50 foot fenced in area with a lot of fun stuff going on. This is the very first year that it's up and running. We just finished getting everything established this winter and spring, so let's go take a look. This is the northeast gate. You can see the whole garden is surrounded with these split black locust posts I got from a miller down the way, out this way, and then we wrapped it with some heavy-duty deer fencing and some metal fencing at the bottom to protect from rabbits and whatnot. Then the fence door I made from some white ash poles that I cut down from the property. You can see the theme in here is pretty much all raised beds. There's lots and lots of them. And it's a very early stages here. Some things are doing really well, like the potatoes you can see are doing awesome. Some of the artichokes are holding on but not doing great. All these beds are filled with leaf litter and debris this winter, a little bit of soil. So for all intents and purposes they're kind of like nearly finished compost piles, or still active compost piles. So it might be a little while before I get enough productivity in here. You can see some Fusu Jerusalem artichokes that'll eventually be my privacy barrier as they slowly creep out into the yard. Some nice sorrel, some lavender, little japonica corn, some sage. So there's going to be all herbs and things along here. Echinacea, two little ones just starting. But you can see the main theme is raised beds in this area. Each of them have some different things. There's lots of potatoes going. There's sorrel in most of them. I'm trying stevia, which is that little guy there. A couple of those going for some sugar alternatives. Some basil in here. Doing some valerian that'll eventually move out. This bed I'm pretty happy with. It's got some squash, calendula, some cabbages just getting started. Really nice heirloom beet, and then more squash and some pumpkins. Eventually this trellis system in the back will be to support the vertical runnings of climber type stuff, squash and peas and whatnot. It goes pretty high up, about 15 feet. That's kind of fun. Right now it's just a weird abstract art piece. And you can see we've got all these little snap peas along the north wall or the north fence line, using the fence as the trellis to support them. So we get little snacks as we work in here. Someday I'll show what this contraption's all about. It's a solar dehydrator, so I can dehydrate food and put it by for the winter without having to leave the garden, but right now it's just kind of holding there. These are the double dug beds, kind of in intensively spaced stuff. We'll see how they do. It's all annual crops in here. Eventually I want to segue to some more perennial types, but there's a japonica striped maize on the north end. There's some okras that are just starting to come up. They're intercropped with chamomile for some reason. I've got chia on the edges so I can get some nice super grain stuff at the end of the season. Some artichokes I started from seed. Pink quinoa right there is a real beautiful leaf to it. It's almost ornamental. Lot of tomatoes. They're going really well this year in here, and they're interspersed with basil just because they're nice together and they work well together. This is a fun centerpiece of the whole thing. This is what I call the medicine wheel. There's 4 big mounds. I put together this in the fall. Dug the sod out and kind of rearranged them like blocks to make these mounds, and then filled them with really nice soil. There's a north, east, south, and west. The north will be for winter storage crops. Got garlic in here right now. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to have in there in the long run. The east hill is starting to get established. This is all going to be different varieties of strawberries, because I think of early spring and, I don't know, east youth, all sorts of fun things like that. The south one will be all very spicy, hot, summery type things, and the west one is going to be medicines and things along that line that will help in the fall. And yeah, some more kind of chaotic beds over here. These are pretty fun little mini ones. I got a bunch of chard, chickweed and kale going in this one. That's doing well. An old bathtub filled with soil from where I dug some ponds over here. We'll look at those later on. And right now that's got mung beans, some squash, strawberries, etc. And then trying some experiments in container gardening. I think this is an improved lamb's quarter variety. Some stinging nettle, those will get transplanted out. And the south end has all got squashes, beans, and then rye at the far end. Way down there is the garlic that'll come up and be swapped to kale for the fall. This is a fun structure that I put together this spring. This is my potting shed / water catchment / dry space / tool storage / sleeping quarters for the summer / something else probably, but yeah, it does a lot of things and it was pretty cheap to make. Comfortable space. I bump my head on it sometimes when I get in there, but that's alright. You can see the roof is made pretty roughshod, pretty simply. These are all random whips I cut down with a little hand tool out in the forest, and then join them all together pretty roughly with some mortise type joinery, I guess. I don't know what it would be considered. But what's nice about it is that the roof, while keeping the space dry, provides, as albeit small, it still provides a significant amount of rain catchment. You can see the gutter comes down here off this wobbly roof. Use some old door screens as my pre-filter, some more door screen as more filter, and that all dumps down into this set of 4 55-gallon drums that are all connected in series using scrap hose I found out of the trash and some really simple nylon fittings and hose clamps and plumber's putty to make sure the whole thing doesn't leak, although it does a little. And then this top one, south end, has an overflow that is then buried underground and goes over to the ponds, so that if these all fill up, then the ponds fill up as well. And what's nice is that it runs from here right over to the sink where there's a little T, so I can wash veggies and whatnot in here, wash my hands, or wash out all these pots. These are all queued up to be washed at some point. And then the second T eventually will go to some pipe, some hose, some scrap hose that will be interwoven to most of the garden beds with drip tape, so that I can just basically open up a valve and irrigate the whole thing completely passively with rainwater, and on the cheap, I would think. So I'm pretty excited about this whole structure and what it means for this space. It's nice to have it here and does some good things. Anyway, we'll wrap up the tour by coming out the south end here, take a quick look at the hand-dug ponds. They're holding water all right. We'll see how they do. Got some feeder fish in there, a bunch of frogs are living in there, and my dog takes his 10 daily baths in that one. There's some wild gardens that go on that way. And then right outside the fence, right now it's in a cover crop of buckwheat and assorted beans and peas. But this whole strip, 5 foot wide and about 35 feet long, actually no, more like 40, 45 feet long. This will all be garlic for next year. I'll be planting into this material, I'll turn it under and plant in garlic. I'm thinking I can get a little shy of 1,000 heads in, which I am very excited about, because garlic is awesome. Anyway, that's basically it. Well, there's my little water sack I can fill up off the rain catchment and hang in the sun, so I can take showers out here. And a little toilet bowl that will eventually be cleaned out, filled with soil, and have strawberries planted in. And then all around the garden, you can see these little trees, just put them in this year. These are Nanking cherries. They're about every 8 feet or so. They'll eventually fill out to create a very thick green wall with a tremendous amount of fruit coming off of them. And there's also a couple hybrid chestnuts, blight-resistant chestnuts. And eventually all of this will have chives, mint, and oregano, which will act as a deterrent from a lot of the little browsing beasties that'll want to try to get into the fence. And that is the gardens. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to contact me with questions.